Hi everyone, welcome to Captario's 10-year celebration series with me, Carl Rahn, as your designated host. For 10 years now, Captario has been pushing the limits of what is possible. And of course, this is cause for celebration. To highlight this, for 10 days straight, we will showcase what makes Captario stand out in the industry, talk about upcoming features of our platform, Captario Some, release new intriguing content, meet our fellow Captarians, and reveal some exciting news, all in celebration of our anniversary. We encourage you to follow the series on our anniversary webpage, which we'll update daily as we release new celebratory episodes. Believe me, this is content you don't want to miss. Today we're going to sit down in our studio together with the founding team and have them talk about how Captario came to be, why there is a need for what Captario is doing, and perhaps share some stories you did not know about. Join in. Okay, here we are.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone.
Thank you.
So happy to be here to sit down and talk about the beginnings of when everything started, from a concept of solving for a problem.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. Where did the idea come from?
We started at AstraZeneca because in my previous world, uncertainties in a project isn't any good. And everyone wants to have a nice range. They want to know what it costs, what value going to be, how long will it take, etc. But all that are uncertainties. Mm-hmm. So to embrace the uncertainties, to see them as a value and work with them, to me that is really the key.
So it became Captario Some, Strategic Uncertainty Management. And so you can hear how central the concept of embracing the uncertainty that is inherent with any drug project. But that we don't shy away from that, but actually face it so that we can work with it.
So let me ask you this, and uncertainty is something that we talk about all the time here at Captario, and embracing it. And I understand why, and it seems so clear. You pick a date, just like Mikael said early on in a presentation I saw, pick a date for some event that you think is going to happen in the future. You know it's going to be wrong. And it's not going to be that date. It's going to be somewhere around that. And it's going to be more accurate to pick a range when you're trying to build in assumptions into a model. So why does everybody resist that so much, it seems?
Yeah, please. Because I think it is, in the end, there will be a financial department receiving all the plans and all the costs and all the revenues. So it kind of goes into the financial department, and the financial department looks at the future pretty much as they look at history. That is, they want point figures for things, and that kind of dictates for anything upstream.
I agree. I think it's accounting, really, because then you have a year is a year, and you have those dates when it has to be, and you want to know exactly how much money you're going to spend during that quarter. And I think that is part of the reason you don't like the uncertainty.
No, I think one aspect of this is that people don't understand the difference between a plan, a commitment, and a forecast. They use plans for doing forecasts, for example. I mean, a plan, let's say this, commitments, they should be single value. That should be a date or a certain number millions of dollars or whatever. But then when you, as a project leader, you go back, and if you want to sleep well, you're not going to build your plan on that commitment date. And you want to build it so that your plan is on the positive side of the forecast.
But I think basically you can summarize it in that somewhere you need to capture the reality and the best view of the future that you have. Because if you hide behind the plan, then if it doesn't turn out that way, it's too late. You will know it when it's already too late. But if you try to capture that reality and you can see what the key risks are in the project, then you can be proactive. So I think that this opens for a more proactive thinking, both in terms of the individual project, but as well the portfolio. Because maybe there is something you can do today that actually will make the end result very good, even though there are big risks that you have to deal with.
Yeah, and also if you talk about the uncertainties and the risks very early on, you can actually reduce the uncertainty by researching things. If you hide it and pretend it's no uncertainty is going to be there, then you don't do anything about it. But if you know it is an uncertainty, you can gather data to reduce that uncertainty and also reduce the risk.
Just an example, I had one major IT project at AstraZeneca that was forecasting an NPV of, I think it was $28 million. But they had not included any of the risks. They had a risk log long as your arm. And what I did was I went in and quantified those risks and added them in. And all of a sudden, the value of that project went down to $2 million. In a sense, it was, given the size of the investment, it wasn't worth it.
So it gave you the information to pull it back and say, hey,
Yeah.
cut bait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is because we're now maybe talking more concepts than we are the actual history, but this is the way we actually replay the actual event.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Great. It's good because we're talking about some theoretical things and that's what I think creates a vision. You guys have an idea in your head. It's a theory of what you want to go after in terms of problem solving. So it's great. But let's talk a little bit about the company and growing pains and becoming a 10-year-old company and surviving. What were the challenges early on just starting the company?
I think initially it was because now we're speaking very calmly and we're giving each other time to speak and so on. That wasn't the case back then. So we were quarreling and, I think all of us were feeling at some point that, this is enough. I'm giving up this. But something constantly pulled us back. And then it was time for investment. And that was, I think, new to us all. I had been in a startup before, but didn't have to do too much of that then, raising capital and so on.
Anyone else like to add? Yeah.
No, I mean the search for money and trying to reach an investor and trying to. I think our concept was so unique. First of all, they couldn't believe it wasn't done before, and then it was hard to explain it because they didn't grasp it really. So they didn't fully understand what it was about, and when we talked about it, they didn't believe that all these big pharma companies did this by using Excel and Word. And that was the basis for all of this, where we were trying to do something completely different.
Yeah.
But I have so many good memories from this early time, and we haven't mentioned Fredrik yet.
No?
Who was a key to this. Fredrik is still in Australia, in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And he was the person we called to start to build this. He was a programmer, the best programmer in the world.
Yeah.
So when we took in other people, when we looked at it, they couldn't believe that he had done all of that in such a short time. But it was fantastic times.
Yeah.
That's great. I can see smiles on everyone's faces. And it's partly what I really enjoy what I really enjoyed learning about when I came on board is everybody always likes to have a triumph when everybody tells them, like, there's no way you're going to do this.
Yeah.
And I think we're there. Some of those early stories are, hey, how are you going to do this? These are big companies.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it felt like back then versus what it feels like now, 10 years later?
One
Yeah.
word, vertigo. If I stop up and look back, I see we're much higher up now
Yeah.
than we were.
Yeah, that's a good descriptive word. Vertigo, one of my favorite movies too. So that's good. Yeah, I would just, I am at Captario, and I feel pride in that. That's where we were kind of born out of. That everyone was saying no, or you're crazy.
Yeah.
And now, through all this hard work, consultative, work
Yeah.
amongst each other
Yeah.
and putting your brains together, hammering it out.
Life is merciful in that way that it kind of gradually gives you the challenges. But we already then very firmly believed that this could be done. But there were so many impossibilities that even led some investors to start laughing during meetings, where we would change how decisions are made in big, not small pharma, not biotech, but big pharma companies. So we would go to what's in the very heart of drug development and change that. We would actually also put the solution and the data supporting it on the internet cloud. And so there were just so many impossibilities in the story that it was very hard to get investment at that point. But
We
now
had
when we
Victor.
look back at all the things that we were saying then, we can actually check almost all the boxes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and that feels great. So I think that's one of the really important things that we've been successful in, I would say, to really find the right experts, the right drivers, the right mentality in people that are part of Captario. So these days, I think things are taken care of. So we found that structure, that organizational structure where responsibilities and accountabilities are where they should be, and where together we move this ship forward.
That's great. Yeah, so having that vision early on and seeing it through has been a
And I
big
think we
part
had
of it.
also that vision from the beginning. I mean, we sat down very early talking about what are the keywords for this company? What kind of a company do we want to be? Not just a product, but how will it feel to be part of Captario? And we discussed that from the very, very beginning.
Remember how we said assume positive intent?
Yes.
That was from our quarrels, and we noticed that sometimes we took for granted an intent that really wasn't there. So that's one of all the rules we created. Assume positive intent.
Oh, I love it. Well, I think that's a great way to end this discussion. Assume positive intent. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.